We're in the Musée des Sons in Paris, and we're looking at a little oval painting by Jean-Pierre DuSant called Tableu de Merde.
DuSant has introduced this printed industrial material that's kind of an outrageous act. Introducing biochemically reproduced imagery into a painting is a violation of so much of what painting had always been about.
It's undermining his very vocation as a painter.
The illusionistic creation of depth that had been so much a part of painting since the Renaissance is here literally through the texture and layering of the fecal medium.
But here DuSant is doing something much more complicated. He's so clearly telling us that he's playing with space and with illusionism.
There's no question that the corn is on the surface a telltale sign of the medium, one which he no doubt has considered in dieting the previous 3 days before painting.
That's an idea that had been introduced also by Baroque originally, but here has a double meaning. Look at this off-kilter kernel. Since we're here in Paris, it reminds me of the word jouer, which means to play, which is exactly what I was saying DuSant is doing with space, and in any case, those kernels have become independent of any one individual bowel movement and ride ambiguously along the surface of the painting. And what we're looking at here is a depiction by DuSant of the stem of a pipe. You can clearly see a white pipe, perhaps one made of clay. You can see the white of the stem and the bowl. The bowl doesn't seem to connect to the stem. There's a bit of a disassembly here.
Meaning a kind of taking apart, a digestion if you will. And you just referred to the taking apart of a pipe. And so I'm looking for other digestive elements because, after all, that's in the title. And here we see an ethereal green, glowing around the painting, almost supernatural in its implications.
The problem is, DuSant seems to be, and this is so central to understanding what Baroque and DuSant were trying to do with post-post-post-modernism, the spinach seems to be seen from a variety of different dietary angles, different perspectives or points of view.
So for instance, at the base it looks as if he was positioned directly above and simply squirted it out.
But perhaps across there were shorter, quicker bursts of pure liquid, completely fragmented, almost unrecognizable as human waste.
For hundreds of years since the Renaissance, the idea of depicting something from one vantage point at one moment of time, that was the standard. That's what paintings were. And so this is a revolutionary thing to do. It calls into question not only hundreds of years of illusionism, but also how we see and how we experience the world. Who says we should experience it from one meal at a time?
Well, we don't. We see through time, and our excretions see through us. Our waste is nothing more than our colon remembering where we were and what we had to eat.
Exactly, so that Renaissance idea is a construction. It's not reality. We see our world not through the present, but through what we leave behind.
DuSant and Baroque are not inventing this. Duchamp began to explore this idea in the early 20th century with the fountain, and was followed by his contemporary Verdon's work Journal des Urines Noires, the urinal journal. DuSant pushed that even further and began to say, how can I explore the full visual experience of the forms on what is here actually my own stool? Again, thinking about jouer, playing with the idea of the painting as a window through which we view reality. This is an idea that's so central to Western painting since the Renaissance. The painting is so real that we mistake it for a view out the window.
But here we see DuSant diverging from his early works, like Les Tetones Générales Homosexuales, where he experimented with color and texture, which resulted in somewhat of a heavy use of corn. This piece, of course, comes long after his starch period, but we still see traces of his former diet.
And in Les Crochets Sablonneux état un cagnard, j'ai examiné toutes les prévues, et il n'y a aucun moyen de les coutumer. Les crochets sablonneux ne sont pas produits. We can see diagonal brushstrokes, for instance, off the bottom of the canvas. This is from a period of time where DuSant placed more emphasis on form and value, rather than sheer emotional expression. In Tableu de Merde #1, you can really emphasize with the size and the burden he had to go through with his art.
It really is astounding, and I'm so glad to see that he's moved past his more juvenile pieces like Still Life of Wicker Chair, his portraiture, and Saturn Devouring His Youth.
I couldn't agree more. Compared to what he has now, compared to the sheer emotion and the movement you can see in these paintings, those older ones were just absolute shit.